So you thought you were coming to learn about essential oils for men today, right? We gotcha. I have a question. What does it mean to you to be a man? I want you to really think about that for a minute. What does it mean for you to be a man in your business, in your family, with your children, with your partners and spouses and boyfriends and girlfriends and whoever they are? What does it mean for you to be a man to show up in your life? And what parts of your life are keeping you from showing up the way that maybe you want to, or maybe the way you think you should, or maybe the way that other people have told you that you should? See, I spent the first 35 years of my life trying to be the man that everyone told me I should be, who my family told me I should be, who my church told me I should be, who my friends told me I should be, who society told me I should be. And the more I tried to be that guy, the more dysfunctional my life became. The more frustrated I became, the more failures I was experiencing, the more challenges I had, the less my happiness just seemed to be dropping and dropping, at least on the inside. So hopefully you all have somebody in your life that when the phone rings and they ask you a question, the answer will always be yes. For me, one of those people is Keith McCoy. And when he called me and asked me if I would help him with this event, I immediately said, yes, absolutely, whatever you need. And then I hung up the phone, and I was super excited about a whole big event of men. And then as it started developing and I started seeing the men I would be sharing the stage with and thinking about myself, it's a hell of a lot of testosterone. Sorry. That's another thing. I will swear today. I apologize in advance. And I started having all this stuff from my childhood started coming back, all that hurt little boy. Because see, when I was a little boy, as I started to see the people that were on the stage with me, people like John Bush, John Chase, Kai Nix, like Eddie Villa, like these guys, like they're the guys who made fun of me when I was a kid. That's who they represent, so I want to hear that. They're not them. But that's what I saw, the guys who were better than me, the guys who were more successful than me, the guys who were better looking than me, the jocks, the athletes. See, I was the choir boy. I was in a little town where everybody expected to play baseball in Little League, and I could never hit a ball. And so I continued to be shown ways that I was not what should be as a man. And it took a complete breakdown of who I was to start to learn some really important things that I want to share with you today. And to me, there's really only three things that matter. And hopefully you'll get those as we go today. Because when I ask you the question, who are you as a man, or what does it mean to be a man, and then you look at your business, your family, your kids, your life, the answers should be the same. I had a man tell me recently, well, I'm a different person at home than I am at work, and my business is different. I'm a different person. You should be. What if you were the same guy everywhere? Because we all think we have to put these hats on. We all think we have to fit into a mold that somebody put us in. Well, a CEO should be like this, an executive should be like this, a diamond should be like this. So imagine what it felt like to come into a company that is pretty conservative, at least 6 years ago, really conservative, pushing for diamond. I'm gay. I'm going to be the first gay diamond in a very, very conservative company. You think I wasn't scared about that? I never felt like I fit in anywhere. And I'm so grateful for some amazing executives of this company who reached out to me and let me know very specifically that I was welcome here. And that helped me open the door to see that maybe I am welcome in places that I didn't think that I was. And I started to learn more about myself. What I started to realize is the differences that I saw between me and these other people, especially the other men in my life, weren't differences at all. You know, as I hear John Chase tell his story this morning, I saw him in a whole different light than just this big buff guy that's out kicking ass and taking names. I learned who he was as a human being, and I started to see, wow, we really are the same. And I think that's a problem that we see as men in this world, is we forget to look at where we're the same. And we forget to give ourselves permission to be who we really are. Not who someone tells you to be, not who someone thinks you should be. So when Keith called me and I said that, I got a little intimidated when I really started seeing, because all those little programs in my head from my childhood came back and said, I can't measure up with all these other guys. And then I realized, hell yeah, I can, because I'm just like them. And if you can't see the theme in this is the crazy thing, guys. None of us got together and talked about our presentations before today. None of us. And if you can see the common themes going through this, there is a message that needs to be shared today. And it has blown me away sitting backstage, hearing the same thing said in different ways and how we've overlapped. Like, that is something that comes from a place bigger than all of us. And so as I started learning, I spent, like I said, I spent the first 35 my years of my life in struggle. And when I started to learn that my wounds and my challenges and my problems that I had, that place in me, that broken place in me, can reach into the broken place of others and help them heal, I began to find my purpose and my mission and why I breathe air on this planet. And I would challenge you, the first thing that I believe is the most important thing about really, truly showing up as a man in your life is to know what your mission is. And if you don't know what your mission is, figure it out. There are so many resources and tools. We've been given a whole list today on things you can do. Find your mission. But then once you find your mission, start living it. Like living a life on purpose, living a life on mission, I can't even begin to tell you what has happened in my life since I turned that corner. Where it doesn't matter to me what other people think or what other people say or what other people do or how I think I'm going to show up or not show up. Even getting ready this morning, thinking about all these men in the audience. Do I look all right? Is my gut showing too much? Is my hair right? That's bullshit, guys. And that's how we live. Like, when can we show up how we are and stand in that place with our families and with our businesses and with our friends and with our partners and with our wives and with our children? And stand in a place that says, yeah, who I am is imperfect and it's who I am and it's fucking awesome. Because that's who we are. That's who we are as men, and that's how we show up. So as I started this process of growth in myself and as I started experiencing this world where I somehow magically was able to help people grow through my own struggles and my own challenges, I had an idea once to write a book. And I wrote this book. I published it a couple years ago. And as I was writing it, I hit a chapter. And the chapter that I had put in my outline, and when I hit the outline, I'm like, why did I put this in here? What am I talking about? The chapter was about how loving yourself. And as I started writing the chapter, I don't know if you noticed there was a quote on my thing. It's from one of my favorites. If you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love someone else? And I wrote that quote in my book, and it was as if, remember that 2x4 that John talked about? That's what happened to me. And I realized, wow, how am I going to love myself? How can I teach other people to love themselves if I really don't love myself? Because prior to that moment, if you would have asked me if I love myself, I'd have said, yeah, of course, I know all the personal growth stuff. I've spent tens and tens of thousands of dollars. Yes, I love myself. But when I really learned about it, I couldn't. Because I had just come out of a massive breakup, and my whole world had been crushed and devastated, and I was in this place where I was lower than I'd ever been, financially, emotionally, personally. Everything felt in ruin to me, and I realized if I really loved myself, I would be able to be more gentle than I was, and so I realized I had some work to do. So I set out on a quest. The year was 2017, and I dedicated 2017 to being the year that I fall in love with Roger. That's not something we typically talk about as dudes, right? And I'm here to tell you we need to. Because that year was transformational for me. And let me tell you how I did it. And it was a little bit freaky and crazy and weird, and people laugh at me all the time. But I'm going to tell you the secret because it worked. So I sat down and I thought, who do I love? Or who have I loved in my life? I thought about my romantic relationships. If you're married, think about when you first fell in love with your partner. And think about what are the things that caused you to fall in love with that person, like really head over heels in love with that person. Hopefully we've all had at least someone in our life. What are the things that caused you to fall in love with them? And then I sat down with a piece of paper and I made a list of all the things that caused me to fall in love with someone. And then I decided for 1 year I was going to do all of those things for myself. I courted myself for a year, and it was weird. I sent myself love notes. I sent myself flowers. I took myself on a date every week. I would wake up in the morning and pre-program text messages to myself telling me how amazing I was. I did all of the things that were on my list. I took myself on weekend getaways. I did it all. But at the bottom of my list, there was one thing, and this is what really did it for me. Well, I wanted deeply and powerfully to be with someone who I could have the most real, raw, vulnerable, honest conversations with and really know their soul. And I hit that one, thought, how do I do that for myself? And so I started to do that for myself. I would sit in front of the mirror, or I would talk to myself while I was driving. And I went on a road trip. I went from Colorado, Utah, Idaho, Oregon, all the way down the Pacific Northwest. It was epic. It was just me and my road trip. And I had the most ultimately real, honest, vulnerable, horrific conversations during that trip with myself. And I got to know myself in ways that I never dreamed possible. And on that trip, I let go of resentments, I let go of judgments, I let go of toxic relationships, I let go of so many things that had held me back prior to that moment. And I remember there was a point, and I turned the corner on the Pacific Coast Highway on the Oregon coast. I turned the corner, and I see this massive scene in front of me. And I heard this voice that said, yeah, but you're still broken. Because that was the voice I'd said to myself for so many years. And I pulled over, and I said this. And I said, no, I'm not. And I know I'm not because I am a divine being created perfectly. And that idea that I'm broken and that I'm not good enough, that I'm not a good enough husband, that I'm not a good enough father, that I'm not a good business person, all those not enoughs that I thought my whole life, and we all have them. They're all lies. And I was able to look myself in the face, in the mirror, and say, you are lying to me, and that's not real, and that's not true, and you're amazing. And I sat at the side of the road, overlooking the scene in the Pacific Ocean, weeping, falling in love with Roger. And when I got done with that trip, I can tell you, I love this guy more than I ever have loved another human being. And then this is the magic. This is what happened. After that happened, literally the next day, I got a call from 3 people saying, hey, I want to build this business with you. Would you let me? Will I let you? Sure, let's talk. I got a call from 4 old customers that had disappeared and said, you know what? My life's not been the same since I stopped using my oils. Can you help me get back into it again? I had some old builders that had quit building that came back to me and said, hey, I think I want to get back on this train. I had amazing, powerful, vulnerable, honest conversations with my kids that brought us even closer. I have a relationship in my life right now that's better than anything I could have ever dreamed of. And it's getting better every day. All of these things started happening after I fell in love with Roger. After I quit listening to all the bullshit from everyone else about who I should be and just decided to be me. That's when life started pouring blessings into my soul. So what's amazing is I've discovered my mission. I started living a mission-centered life. And I worked really hard on falling in love with myself. And I can tell you I'm the greatest form of Roger that there's ever been since I did those things. And all the things that kept me from being that person were all of the should-haves and should-bes and all the pressure that the world put on me to be in this little box. See, here's the box that most of us live in, and the rest of the world is out here. So I have a challenge for you with your businesses, with your families, with your partners, with your spouses, with every part of your life. Quit being who everyone else wants you to be. And just be you. Be the part of you that shines. Be the part of you. You know, we all have that one little part of ourselves that, what if I just did this? What if people would think I'm a fool if I did that? Then you should do it. Whatever that part in your life is that you feel like people would laugh at me if I did it, go do it this week. I'm serious. Go do it and make a fool out of yourself. And then it becomes easier, and then you can make a bigger fool of yourself later, and then it becomes easier. And what's really funny is I used to be this guy that fear ran everything that I did. I was afraid to jump off the high dive. I was afraid to do a flip on the trampoline. I was afraid to talk to a stranger. I was afraid of everything. I'm trying to think what day. December 23rd, about 4 years ago at midnight, My partner and 2 shots of tequila convinced me to jump off the stratosphere in Las Vegas. The 2 shots of tequila were critical for that decision. And I can tell you that my entire life changed the second my feet left that platform. I can put everything that's been wonderful and good in my life to that one decision. Because I looked fear in the face and I said, you don't get to be the boss of me today. And I jumped. And if you saw my video, it's hilarious and terrifying and awe-inspiring all at the same time. Because I have never been more scared of anything in my life. And the second my feet left that platform, I discovered the power within me. And the only way I discovered that was by doing something that scared me so bad that I never in a billion years dreamed I could. And I don't care if it takes 2 shots of tequila to get you to do it, do it. Because when you step out of those boxes that you've set for yourself, you find magic. And every time you step out of one and you find that magic, the magic grows and allows you to step out into a bigger one and into a bigger one. And what's really crazy now is there's not a lot that scares me anymore. And that's crazy. There really isn't. Like, I will do just about anything but bungee jumping. And it's not because I'm scared, it's because it's stupid. Find the things that you're afraid of and face them. And for many men, what we're most afraid of is being real, being vulnerable, being honest, being genuine. When you step into that place, magic comes. Because if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love anyone else?